Thank you,
Welcome.
Marco, for this wonderful introduction. And hello, everyone from home and from the NOAA conference. So, yes, my name is Alexandre, and I will introduce to you Conservation Connect. I will share with you my screen, and I will also share with you a little story. This is a story about Mohsen. He's an Iranian conservationist who does research on sharks and rays in the Persian Gulf. You see him here on this picture sitting on the boat of a fisherman's ship, counting and measuring the bycatch of these sharks and rays. He's sitting in the blazing sun, day in, day out, in the scorching heat, 45 degrees Celsius on that boat. And he's measuring those fishes. And like this, he already rediscovered various species that were thought to be extinct. Mohsen got his first ever grant from the Prince Bernhard Nature Fund to start his own research center. I managed that fund, and this is how I got to know him. And I got to know him as a very, very passionate and very determined person. And you need to be, because life on that boat is not easy. Now, I received an email from Mohsen a few months ago. He wrote, "Dearest Anne, I can't wait to tell you this, but I won a Future for Nature award." And he was so proud, and that just transpired through the pages. And I was so happy for him because he deserved it. People like Mohsen, they are doing the real work. People like Mohsen are in the field fighting for our biodiversity in the front lines. People like us, like grant makers and green investors like us, we have a shared mission, and that is to help people like Mohsen. We also have a shared challenge, and that is to find people like Mohsen, because this is not actually so evident. Marco said it this morning, we actually don't cooperate a lot in this sector. And that is definitely true for the grant makers of these organizations. We all operate on our own little islands, doing our research, doing our due diligence, but we don't share data, we don't share references. We actually share very little. We store most files on our own personal computer. So we can look at our own organization and try to optimize its efficiency. But as a sector, we are doing a terrible job. We are not connected, we're not efficient, and therefore we leave a lot of impact. This especially goes for grant makers of grassroots organizations. You just saw talks of African Parks and Peace Parks Foundation. They do wonderful work. But we also believe that there is great impact to be made by grassroots, those who can move mountains with only a short amount of cash. And these also have very little needs usually, which means that they often fall off the radar. Mohsen, when he applied for a PBNF grant, he only had a Facebook page. And this is very hard to get a grasp of someone's work, the impact someone's making thousands of kilometers away just by a Facebook page. And this is even harder if you have hundreds of proposals that you get. Just to give you an idea, the PBNF gets about 500 proposals a year. And the Mohammed bin Zayed Species Conservation Fund, which is a way too long name, so I will refer to them as MBZ, they get 1,800 research proposals per year. So if they only spend about 30 minutes per organization to see who are they, what they're working on, who they're working with, and who they're funded by, they already would spend 900 hours on preliminary due diligence. And this is way too much. They don't have 900 hours. We simply don't have that time. So the result is that we make our decisions like this. And this is not only not good for us, because we cannot possibly say that we select the right people, but it's also very unfair for those people in the field, those people on the boats fighting for our biodiversity. They have to prove their worth time and again. They have to prove their worth with each application they write, and often even in a limited amount of words. So in order to improve this process, PBNF and MBZ kickstarted a platform called Conservation Connect. This is the reference guide for conservation. It gives a nice overview of all the projects that we've ever supported, and it gives a nice idea of who is where, working on what, and funded by who. It also gives you insights in where your money goes. So it gives you insight in your grant allocation. Now, I said PBNF and MBZ kickstarted this initiative. Well, it actually went live last week only. And the idea is that more funders will join this initiative. And next year, we will also register it as its own entity. So it will be governed by a consortium of funders. Just to give you an idea how it looks like, you can just look up an organization by name or by the species they work on, or you can zoom into a map. And then when you found the organization you're looking for, you have everything you want to know on one page. And so what are they doing? Who are they funded by? And as a funder, you can also leave a reference. I said it also gives you insights in your grant allocation. Well, that goes like this. You just have a dashboard that gives you a very nice visual overview. You see there's now 2,813 projects in the database, and you can see with one blink of an eye what are the best funded regions, the best funded species, and you can further specify your query using the filters. So this way you get insights in the trends and gaps, not just of your organization, but also sector-wide. And this gives you the information you need to actually build a strategy. So let's build a grant allocation strategy based on real information. And the last thing I want to mention is that it also takes away the headache of sharing information. Sharing information sometimes might be difficult by privacy rules, by communication with the project, but the platform takes those headaches away and makes sharing easier. So imagine that we can actually have insights in where our money goes, and we can adjust our grant allocation strategy accordingly. Imagine that we have an overview of all those projects, and we don't have to do double work, and we know who to ask for a reference. And imagine how much more Mosen can do if he doesn't only get a grant, but he also gets network, visibility, and credibility. We can do so much more as a sector. We can be so much more efficient and make so much more impact. And we really need to start making that impact, because we lost 68% of our wildlife population over the past 50 years. 68%. That is a huge number. So yes, more money needs to go to conservation, but we also have to start using the money we have wisely. Now, more funders should join Conservation Connect, and the more funders join, the more powerful this database can be. And if everybody chips in a little bit of money, we have a budget to develop this further, to make Conservation Connect the reference guide for conservation. So we can really start making more impact as a sector. Now, I invite every grant maker who just listened to my story to drop me a line after. I'd be happy to answer all your questions, and I hope you join. Thank you.